All right, let's talk about the climate crisis. It's a huge topic, I know, but we're going to dive into a part of the solution that's, well, surprisingly close to home. It might actually be right outside your window.
This quote from Ban Ki-moon really just cuts straight to the point, doesn't it? It perfectly frames our situation. We've only got one home. There's no backup planet waiting in the wings. This is it. And this contrast just says it all. On one hand, you see our planet just beautiful and fragile, and right next to it, you see the harsh reality we're facing. Wildfires, floods, massive storms. These aren't just random events. They're the direct result of a system in crisis.
So, how bad is it, really? How do we even measure our impact? Well, it turns out there's a pretty powerful way to track it. And what it tells us is that we're basically living on credit, borrowing resources from a future that hasn't even happened yet.
Think of it this way. The Earth has an annual budget of resources it can naturally replenish. For the first part of the year, we're living within that budget. But Earth Overshoot Day, that's the exact date we blow through the entire year's worth of resources and start going into ecological debt. Let's rewind a little bit back to 2018. If you look at this map, you can see that different countries were running through their budgets at totally different speeds. Some were getting pretty close to living sustainably for the whole year, while others, well, they had already overshot their resource budget by February.
Now, let's jump back to today. The trend is, well, it's pretty undeniable. For so many of us around the world, that date is just creeping earlier and earlier into the year. We're draining that planetary bank account faster and faster.
And this chart right here really tells the whole story. If you look back to the 1970s, we were pretty much living within our means. Overshoot Day landed in late December. But just look at how that's changed. We've accelerated our consumption so much that today we need almost 2 Earths to support our lifestyle. 2. Okay, so we're using too much stuff. We get that. But how does that actually heat up the planet? To figure that out, we need to look at the basic science of our atmosphere. And don't worry, it's a lot simpler than you might think. Now this is the part that always gets me. Over 99% of the air around us, all the nitrogen and oxygen, it doesn't really trap heat. Our entire planet's climate, the thing that determines everything, it's all controlled by that tiny little sliver of trace gases that makes up less than 1%. Crazy, right? So here's how it all works. The sun hits our planet with a ton of energy. Some of it bounces right back into space, but a lot of it gets absorbed by the land and oceans. The Earth then sends that energy back out as heat. And that's where the greenhouse effect comes in. Now, a natural greenhouse effect is a good thing. It's absolutely essential. It's what keeps our planet warm enough for life to exist. But what we've done with all our emissions is we've put our foot on the gas, creating an accelerated greenhouse effect that's throwing the whole system way, way out of balance. So what are the main culprits? Well, it's these guys. We're talking about carbon dioxide from industry and construction, methane from things like agriculture, nitrous oxide from fertilizers, all of them being pumped into the atmosphere at record-breaking levels. And some of these gases are just unbelievably powerful and long-lasting. Take F-gases, the stuff used in refrigerators and air conditioners. They can stay up in the atmosphere trapping heat for thousands of years. It's a problem we're creating right now that generations upon generations will have to deal with. So when we think about what's causing all this, our minds usually jump to cars, planes, big factories. And yeah, they're part of it. But what if one of the absolute biggest pieces of the puzzle has been right in front of us, literally all around us, this whole time? Okay, get ready for this. We all know aviation contributes to emissions, right? It accounts for about 2% globally. But look at this. The emissions from the building and construction sector, it's a whopping 30%. That's not even in the same ballpark. It completely dwarfs aviation. So, what does this mean? It means the concrete we pour, the steel we use, the way we heat and cool our homes and offices, all of it has a massive, direct impact on the health of our planet. Our cities themselves are one of the biggest engines of the crisis. And that leads to a really powerful idea. If the way we build our world is such a huge part of the problem, doesn't that mean it could also be our most powerful solution? By focusing on smarter construction, better materials, and renewable energy for our buildings, the very sector driving the crisis could be the thing that saves us. The problem itself holds the blueprint for the cure.